And it looks like Notre Dame is going to promote the defensive coordinator, Marcus Freeman, to head coach. Notre Dame is expected to make that promotion coming up here in the next couple of days after Brian Kelly left for LSU. Yesterday, when Brian Kelly was with us in the second hour of the program, I asked him about, is he going to take assistants to LSU?
Yeah, we're going to hire the best coaches, right? I had great coaches at Notre Dame. We can hire great coaches here at LSU. So, they're employed right now at Notre Dame. And, certainly we have to be sensitive to that fact. Are there guys that would I love to have some of those guys join me here? Absolutely. But we have to go through the right process. That's going to be a fluid situation.
Freeman is not a big name. He's never been a head coach, but there's a lot of positives. He was an assistant at Cincinnati. They grew into a mid-major conference power. The Irish defense has been great this year. And then maybe the biggest benefit for Freeman is emotional. When Kelly left, there was a lot of hard feelings. Fans across the country were mad, but it seems like the team itself is rallying around Freeman and Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator. Freeman's only 35. Now, that could be viewed as a negative. Lincoln Riley went from his position of offensive coordinator at Oklahoma to head coach at 33. Pat Fitzgerald, linebacker coach at Northwestern, to head coach at 31. P.J. Fleck, when he took over as head coach at Western Michigan, was 32. He was 36 when he got to Minnesota. Matt Campbell took over Toledo at 32, went on to coach Iowa State at 36. This is different. This is different from all of those programs. You're running a national brand now. And, the higher up you get, the less coaching you do. There's so much that goes into being a head coach. You got to manage everybody now. As a defensive coordinator, you walk in and you see your guys. That's what you have to worry about. Now, you got to worry about the offense, and then the special teams, and then the media, and then the boosters, and then everybody else, the chancellor, the president. There's so much more, and that's why I've said so many times on this show, not everybody is cut out to be a head coach because of everything that goes into being a head coach. But we'll find out really soon how good Marcus Freeman is going to be. Tommy Rees is the offensive coordinator. Expectations at Notre Dame are high. They should stay high. They have tough academic standards. They don't get to play in a conference championship game, but they do have the standalone name recognition, your own TV network, and there still is that magic of Notre Dame. There were a lot of things going on last night. Some of it I can tell you about, some of it I cannot. But I do know that LSU and Brian Kelly wanted Tommy Rees, wanted him to be their offensive coordinator. So Tommy Rees was the former Notre Dame quarterback, and he's, I think, 29 years of age and is really highly thought of. So Tommy Rees is probably looking at this situation going, do I go to LSU with Brian Kelly? Can I stay here? But if Luke Fickell comes in, then he's going to bring in his own people. And it almost felt like Tommy Rees was the most important chip here. Because if he leaves, do they promote Marcus Freeman? Was it a package deal? And that's what I was told last night. This was a package deal. That if Tommy Rees was staying, now they felt the continuity was there. You have your defensive coordinator who's now being elevated to head coach. You keep your offensive coordinator, and you feel really good about it. Their combined ages, I don't think total Brian Kelly's, or at least it's pretty close to it, maybe 2 years older. He's 60. You got 35 and 29. Paulie, do the math for me.
McLovin's got to do that.
Oh, okay. But, it just feels like if Notre Dame got this right, they got it, they hit a home run. But, here's the other thing to factor. Notre Dame doesn't change. There's still going to be the same hurdles there for Marcus Freeman and Tommy Rees. Like, these are institutional hurdles that are going to be there. And I go back to what Brian Kelly was basically saying to his players on Monday morning. I'm leaving because I can't win a championship with you. Now, he can't say that, but I think that Tommy Rees staying probably made it a lot easier to bring in or, elevate Marcus Freeman and make it a package deal. And I think that by all accounts, they're hitting a home run. But then so is LSU. LSU was backed into a corner because they thought they had Lincoln Riley. And then they threw a Hail Mary and it landed at South Bend. USC got lucky. Who would have thought Lincoln Riley? And now we got to find out if Oklahoma can hit a home run. But some of the things going on behind the scenes last night, fascinating. And it was happening in real time. I'm on the phone with Paulie a couple of times.
You called me 6 times last night.
I did. I said, all right.
I got to go. You did the non-goodbye. I just hear, boop.
Yeah, I know. I got to go. And then one time I didn't even say I got to go. I just clicked. And then I just wanted to make sure that we were following it correctly, getting the right information there, talking to the right people. But it was fascinating last night, what was going on in real time. And you were trying to figure out, and then Tommy Rees gets in front of the team and says, hey, this is where I want to be. I love you guys. And then posted the video. And all of a sudden, it was like, boom, ball game. Tommy Rees staying. Marcus Freeman's going to get the head coaching job. Nothing's official yet. Sources close to me tell me that it's a longer process for Marcus Freeman to be promoted to being the head coach. Yes, Paul?
Could the big winner be Cincinnati football fans today?
That's another possibility. I was told last night that Notre Dame knew Luke Fickell was not going to leave Cincinnati until they played in the Final Four. Now, I'll go back to a question I asked Brian Kelly yesterday. I asked him, what if, you know what, I think the question is in there, right, Seton? Here's Brian Kelly yesterday.
Oh, I don't
okay,
know.
no, wait a minute. Hold on. I thought the question was in there. What if Notre Dame was ranked 3rd in the college football playoffs?
Oh, I don't know, Dan. Those are tough questions. I mean, I'm a pretty honest guy, and would tell you, but those are so hard to answer relative to what I've had done something different in that situation, and I really couldn't tell you, to be honest with you, because it's not the case. But I really couldn't answer that question.
Fascinating. Luke Fickell is saying, now I don't know if he was offered the Notre Dame job, but I do know somebody said that Luke is not going to be available for a month because he feels like he owes it to his Cincinnati, players. Now, if Cincinnati is 8th, he might have been available. But the fact that Brian Kelly was saying, well, I can't really say that. And what happens if after the dust settles this weekend and Notre Dame is somehow in the Final Four and Cincinnati's not?
Yikes.
Right?
Can I get a do-over?
Yeah. But that's why this is fluid. I mean, it's crazy. But Notre Dame could end up in the Final Four. Yes, Eden.
It's funny that, you said Luke Fickell feels like he owes his players something.
Yeah.
You don't get the sense Brian Kelly believes he owes anybody anything.
No.
Not a thing.
No. Look, he made his decision. I know there's been, Brady Quinn, who's going to join us tomorrow, former Notre Dame quarterback. He was really upset about this. Peter King was really upset about this. Is anybody upset that Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma? Exactly. And I like Lincoln Riley, and he made a really smart business decision, in my opinion. But nobody's upset. It's just you look at Notre Dame, and it's polarizing. Brian Kelly, polarizing. That's all this is. I mean, Brian Kelly did at least meet with his team. I don't know if Lincoln Riley did. I think he just got on a plane, and he was in Southern California.
Took his coordinators with him.
Yes. Yeah. That's one of those, if you go into the building and all of a sudden you see some guys carrying out stuff, you're going, where are you guys going? Southern California? What for? Forever?
Oh, you guys recruiting out there? Or?
Oh, God. What a great business. Yeah, Paulie.
Hey, Coach, why are you leaving all your winter coats and sweaters in the office and taking off with work shirts?
Yeah, McLevin.
I did hear some criticism of Riley that he's soft for not wanting to go to the SEC. That was the one thing.
Yeah.
And I think we were all like, yeah, I don't want to go there either.
But here's Brian Kelly, who wanted to go to the SEC. He didn't get any credit for being tough for going to the SEC. Look at it this way. Lincoln Riley took an easier route to win a national championship or compete for one. So did Brian Kelly. In different ways, if you think about it, Brian Kelly had reached the glass ceiling at Notre Dame. He doesn't worry about recruiting. He doesn't worry about academic. He doesn't have to worry about any of that at LSU. He just has to coach. Lincoln Riley, you're not going to go to the SEC. Don't have to worry about the competition there. You can go to Southern California. You can stand alone in the Pac-12. You can be what Oklahoma was to the Big 12, and you can be that in the Pac-12. They took different routes, but they're really saying the same thing. Brian Kelly didn't think he could win a championship there. And that's the one thing that's left out on his resume. It's one thing when somebody says, you won more games than anybody in the history of Notre Dame. But no national titles. So when somebody says, boy, the greatest coach in Notre Dame history, it's not going to be Brian Kelly. When they say the winningest, they're going to talk about the regular season. Brian Kelly wants to win a national championship. LSU was desperate. They paid the money. That's all. But I don't know if there's any outrage from anyone nationally. I know there is locally at Oklahoma. But Lincoln Riley just left. It was, how dare Brian Kelly do this? Just be fair to everybody. Because you know what? Next year, somebody else is going to do it. And the year after that. So the outrage should be even because they're doing the same thing at the same level to the same players.